Good afternoon. I'm Dugan O'Neill, Vice President, Research and International Pro Tem at Simon Fraser University. And on behalf of SFU, it's my pleasure to welcome you here today. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that I'm privileged to be speaking from the unceded traditional territories of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam, and Coquitlam peoples. Many of you are located across the Coast Salish territories and beyond, so please let us know on which territory you're joining us from. Over the past year, COVID-19 has had a profound impact on all of us here in Canada, as well as everyone globally. My thoughts are with those who've lost their loved ones and with all of us who are navigating through this time of uncertainty. As Canada's engaged university, we stand ready to support efforts to address the impacts of this novel coronavirus and to prepare for social and economic recovery in our far-reaching communities. And so today I'm delighted that you could be here to join me in applauding the Canada Foundation for Innovation for its ongoing commitment to supporting SFU. Through CFI's Exceptional Opportunities Fund, they are supporting SFU with more than $1.1 million for SFU researchers to further COVID-19 research. This funding from the Canada Foundation for Innovation's Exceptional Opportunities Fund will continue to help advance 4 ongoing COVID-related projects at SFU and allow our researchers to work towards more vaccine and therapeutic endeavors. It will also allow us to continue to advance COVID-19 diagnostics, treatments, and preventions. Without further ado, please welcome Terry Beech to share more about this exciting announcement we're celebrating today. Terry is a proud alumnus of SFU, the MP for Burnaby North Seymour, and the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Fisheries, Oceans, and the Canadian Coast Guard. Terry.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction, and it is great to be back at SFU, even if it is virtually. I like to take my daughter on walks in this COVID environment. Sometimes I go to Burnaby Lake and the like, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people there. And unfortunately, SFU has less people there, so I've been taking her up to SFU a lot and cruising through the hallways. But it's good to be there virtually today. I am speaking to you today from the traditional unceded territory of the Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, and Musqueam people. Since the beginning of this pandemic, constituents in Burnaby and in North Vancouver have been stepping up to be there for our community. And nowhere is that more evident than at Simon Fraser University. In the very early stages of the pandemic, Professor Nancy Ford and her SFU colleagues gathered gloves, face masks, and other essential supplies from their labs and donated them to frontline workers at the Burnaby Hospital. I have been consistently inspired by the work and enthusiasm of Canada's innovators at research institutions right across this country. They have risen to the challenge and have faced the pandemic head on. Our government has also tried to step up over these past many months. When the pandemic hit, we rolled out a package of support programs that have helped families across the country. We created the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, which has supported over 3.7 million jobs. And to date, we've approved over 765,000 interest-free loans for businesses through the Canada Emergency Bank Account. The Canada Emergency Response Benefit, or the CERB, has also helped over 8.9 million Canadians. In Burnaby North Seymour, that means 1 in every 3 people have benefited from these programs. I don't know how that corresponds to households, but it's easily more than half. And if you think about that impact just in our community here, imagine what the impact has been right across the country. We've also focused on providing support to research institutions. I want to thank President Joy Johnson for her insightful additions for the $9 billion student package that was rolled out. We've increased funding and placements through the YES program, doubled the Canada Student Grant, broadened eligibility for student financial assistance, created the Canada Emergency Student Benefit, and well, there's much, much more. These programs ensure that Canada won't just survive through the pandemic, but be set up to thrive after it has passed. And that light is getting brighter with Health Canada approving the first of 7 vaccines that we've acquired just this week. When it comes to funding our research institutions, we are focused on ensuring that researchers have the tools they need to continue to lead the fight to protect the health and safety of Canadians. That is why today I am excited to announce or echo that SFU will be receiving $1.1 million through the Canada Foundation for Innovation's Exceptional Opportunities Fund. Now, this program is about creating rapid deployment of funds. It is helping to support exceptional research opportunities that would be missed if a project had to wait to undergo the normal course of a national competition. Here at SFU, funding recipients are doing some amazing work, whether it's creating urgently needed antiviral drugs, understanding how antibodies bind to the coronavirus, rapidly measuring binding of potential inhibitors to key protein targets. I'll pretend I know what that means. Or improving diagnostic, prevention, and treatment. There's no doubt the funding they are receiving will help save lives across this country. So congratulations and thank you to everyone who is here today for your great work. Canada is appreciative of the work that you do. But to talk more about some of the great work that is being done, I want to now introduce Dr. Robert Young, professor in the Department of Chemistry here at SFU. Dr. Young is also the BC Leadership Chair in Pharmaceutical Genomics and Drug Discovery. His lab will receive $200,000 to purchase critical equipment to conduct COVID-19 research, and I'd love to welcome him to share more about his lab's work. Passing it over to you, Dr. Young.
Thank you for the kind introduction. And I should acknowledge also that I'm speaking from Vancouver, my home office, on the unceded territories of the Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, and Musqueam people as well. And we were very appreciative of the CFI special grant, which is going to really make our research much faster and more efficient. I'll give you a very brief overview of my research. It has a variety of facets, but the one that's related to COVID research relates to a collaboration ongoing between my lab and the lab at the Vancouver Prostate Center and at UBC, other labs. We're all working together trying to develop new drugs to control and eliminate the COVID virus. And this particular equipment will be very useful in that regard. Our collaborators are actually screening essentially, amazingly, 15 billion compounds using computer screening. And with that screening, they're looking for compounds that potentially will bind to targets in the virus. From those screenings, several thousands or hundreds are obtained and then tested. And the active ones we look at to determine the way they bind to the actual target proteins that we're looking at. And this particular instrument will be very effective and useful in that regard to sort out the true important drugs that could be, or drug leads that could be developed from the ones that may be somewhat spurious. So we're really looking forward to that. It'll make a great impact on our research. And so I think on that note, I will pass over to somebody who does the real work, Dr. Michael Malecki, who's a postdoctoral fellow in my group, working in particular with this machine, and we'll work with it in the future when we get it. Michael?
Thanks, Bob, for the kind introduction. I'm joining from the SFU campus, from the unceded territories of the Kikite First Nations. Good afternoon, everyone. So pretty much for the last 8 months, I and my colleagues have been working on developing small molecule antiviral drugs for COVID-19. So you might want to ask, why is this still important if we already have the vaccines out there? So it turns out that there is a significant subpopulation that either cannot be vaccinated, and this is because of severe allergic reactions to the vaccine components in general, or a larger group that does not develop a proper response from the shot. So in other words, they don't develop the proper immunity, even if they have the shot. And this latter group is usually associated with obesity and older age. So in countries with high rates of obesity, like US or an aging population, we can expect people still getting sick from COVID-19 even after vaccination. So we need to have an alternative and effective treatment for such people. And this is where our work on the small molecule antivirals comes into play. So when a virus enters the cell, it produces many tools, these enzymes, that it needs to create a copy of itself. So if one of those tools is broken, the virus can't actually replicate itself. So what we're doing, we're trying to find small molecules that will bind to such tools and make them inactive. And this way will impede the virus. So what we're trying to do is for people that either don't respond to vaccines or they can't have a vaccine, we're helping them to for their own bodies to fight the virus by making the virus weaker and slowing down its reproduction in cells. So the grant money that that we got from Terry, which we're really, really grateful, will be used to purchase an instrument, as Bob mentioned. And so what this instrument will allow us to do is to measure the strength of that binding of these small molecules to these viral tools. And this is something that is a small tool, extremely powerful. We can put it on a bench and then do these measurements on the spot in our lab. So this will really, really speed up our research, because right now we have to actually send the samples out to third parties to have them tested. So this is an incredible gift, and it can also be used for other projects aside of COVID. And so other team members as well as other people, other labs in the chemistry department or in the SFU campus in general could also use this instrument for their purposes. So again, I'm incredibly grateful for this grant, and I can't wait to start working with the instrument. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert and Michael. I'd now like to introduce Dr. Masahiro Nikura from the Faculty of Health Sciences. Dr. Nikura is a virologist with an interest in viral pathogenesis and its prevention by vaccines. Dr. Nikura.
Thank you for the introduction, Dugan. I'm here to thank you all my colleagues at SFU who helped me in preparation of the application for this opportunity, and the Canadian taxpayers who supported our science. My grant was a team grant. That's why I wanted to say thank you to all my colleagues. This year, by exceptional opportunity fund definitely helps advance our research capability, including the improvement of our CO3 laboratory, where we have SARS coronavirus 2, which causes COVID-19. And well, rather than talking about my research itself, at this occasion, I would like to remind you why we needed an exceptional, actually emergency funding. As you may recall, SARS coronavirus broke out in 2002 for the first time. Another coronavirus, MERS coronavirus, spilled out to human population in 2012 in Middle East. So this is the third time in 21st century we face the coronavirus outbreaks. This COVID-19 situation had been somehow actually scientifically predicted. Against this prediction and SFU's motto, we are prepared. Actually, not only SFU, but the whole world was not prepared for the third coronavirus outbreak. I think we'd better learn a lesson from this third occasion now. One-time funding obviously helps a lot. However, I would emphasize the importance of continuous support for scientific endeavor. I also remind you that prevention is less costly than remedy in healthcare, and academic institutions can do a lot in this area. And at the end, I'd like to thank you all again for your continued support for our science. Thank you. Please welcome Siobhan Ennis, a graduate student from the Faculty of Health Sciences, for a brief remark. Siobhan?
Thanks, Masa. I would like to acknowledge today that I'm speaking from the unceded territories of the Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, and Musqueam peoples. And I want to extend a huge thank you to Canadians for continuing to support scientific research through the CFI Exceptional Opportunities Fund. As a student in the Faculty of Health Sciences, I've been studying infectious diseases for over 3 years now. But now, with the immediate threat of COVID-19, I have the opportunity to apply that education and develop skills that help Canadians in real time. Instead of adjusting to working from home, I've adjusted to working with new protocols in our high containment laboratory that resumed operations in response to the pandemic. We are collaborating on a number of projects, ranging from diagnostics to vaccine design to understanding the basic biology of this virus. During a global pandemic, evidence-based, decisive responses are essential. Therefore, we are grateful for the CFI Exceptional Opportunities Fund. This grant will allow us to replace some of our more sluggish equipment and fast-track our understanding of the virus. And it's basic research like ours that was foundational in vaccine development. Without it, a vaccine would be years in the future, not approval this week. It's important to remember that pandemic threats do not ever completely go away. They just recede from our immediate attention. Canada's emergency management framework must include pandemic preparedness, including funding for research like what my colleagues and I do every day. Our lives and the lives of Canadians depend on it. So thank you again, Terry Beech, and to Canada for your continued support of our research.
Thank you, Massa, and thank you, Siobhan. Let's give all of our researchers and our speakers today some applause. Congratulations. I'm inspired by the many ways in which SFU faculty, staff, and students have been stepping up and are still stepping up to help address the COVID-19 crisis. Thank you, Terry, on behalf of Simon Fraser University for joining us virtually today for this special announcement. An event like this takes a team of people working behind the scenes. So thank you to Terry Beech's office, the SFU VP Research and International Office, and the ceremony and events team for supporting the planning of the event. And finally, a special thanks to all of you who took the time to connect with us today. Have a great afternoon.